This story begins in the year 2093 in a city of Japan where horrible monsters attack children and innocent citizens, appearing out of nowhere, and in this way they terrorize all of humanity. In the same way, the number of crimes reached exorbitant levels, and humans also had no way to defeat those enemies, and the governments of the world were overwhelmed and stressed because they tried in 1,000 different ways to defeat the monsters, but they could not. And so it went on for 2 years until we arrived at the year 2095. When a human appeared who rose like a light of hope for humanity, who crushed left and right a great number of enemies, including their leader, the king of the monsters, thus cleansing the streets of the cities and leaving them free of danger. It was then that they recognized him as a hero, and they called him Zero. In addition, he shared with humanity the information about the monsters and the criminals, and thanks to that, they were able to understand how the world worked. He even led the counterattack with a team of superheroes, and in this way, by the year 2100, the crime rate of the countries fell a lot together with their monsters. Yet the monsters kept appearing more and more, and when the world needed him the most, he disappeared. Well, at least that is everything that is told in the Hero movie. And even though 5 years have already passed since that event, they made several movies about him, and right there, we realized that someone is watching the movie, and it is none other than Zero himself, who tells us that his sister threw him out of the house because she wants him to go look for a job. But he is interrupted by a frantic sound where we see a superhero on a stage who is able to eliminate the monsters and keep the peace, while at the same time he captivates the girls with his music, and he asks his fans to support him on his path toward promotion to Class B. But right then, someone shoots at him, and because he is such a stylish guy, he dodges it, and we see that the one responsible was a thug who blames him for having hurt an important member of his family. So he came to assassinate him, and quickly his men point their guns to shoot, but they are stopped by the cool guy who was playing the electric organ and who manages to snatch their weapons with a magnetism ability. So the handsome show-off makes use of the weapons with a lot of style, which makes the vandals angry. Then the one who plays the drums with his little fire stick manages to put on a good show since he defeats the opponents on the spot. And lastly, there is the fast and electric one who finishes off those who were left. So the bossy bald bad guy tries to land some soft punches against the beautiful leader, ending in a defeat for the baldy, but then he tries to escape, and our Prota puts some criminal handcuffs on him, and the bad guy remembers the pact he made with the handsome purple-haired dude, so he thinks they betrayed him, and in this way, this man transforms into a kind of Hulk, showing that he is a real bad guy of rank B. And we also see that the handsome one is scared out of his mind because this was not what they had agreed on, so he proceeds to receive a severe blow that hard resets his windows and makes him think about his human existence. Immediately, his companions try to attack the bad guy, but this is useless because he sends them flying as if they were flies. But to stop the lamentations, there appears a true hero whose name is Zan, and we are told that he actually is registered as a hero in the association and has rank E, and so he proceeds to take out his weapons, which are some high-power reaction gloves that can send anyone flying through the air, as you can see on screen, but when he uses them, he ends up flying because of the poor execution. Oh wow, he is still alive, but it shows that he is bleeding, and in spite of everything he throws himself again into the attack, but the bad guy sends him flying. So he pulls out his secret weapons, but he still ends up like trash in the trash can, literally. So he ends up very exhausted, but when he sees that the bad guy is about to tackle our Prota, he tells him to retreat and that he will take care of it because he is a true superhero. And how could someone be one if he abandons a citizen and runs away? And thanks to this, he awakens our blue-eyed guy who quickly launches himself to defeat the gorilla, pulling a club out of his butt, thinking that it has been a long time since he remembered what it is to be a true hero, and he gives the brute a blow, defeating him with a single attack. And while the boy looks at him from behind, asking who this guy is, without thinking twice, he jumps toward him and asks him to be his team, telling him the following: "With my brain and your muscles, combining the greatest mind with the maximum strength, we will be the most powerful team in history, never before seen." But right then, a beautiful albino girl with black glasses gets down from her carriage, looking at the panorama of bodies on the ground, and she notices our characters, asking them about what happened. At that, our boy with the stylish hair tells us that this girl is the top-tier superheroine of City H, known as the Winter Sorceress, and of course he asks for her autograph, but that grumpy waifu repeats to him that he should explain what happened. So he has no choice but to tell her, explaining to her that when he was passing through this place, he saw a criminal attacking the handsome singer. So he decided to help him with his tools, and he fought against the bossy bad guy. And in the end, together with his assistant, they defeated him. Well, only we know the truth. Then she realizes that there is no one else near him, since Zero has already left, and so he was the one who remained. And now we see our protagonist who was going to his house with his sister when suddenly he hears at the door that she is arguing with her boyfriend, whom she breaks up with at that moment, and well, now he is her ex. Of course, these are things that happen on the wonderful and very unstable road of love. So when he enters the house, he tells her that the guy was handsome and rich, so he does not know the reason why she dumped him, but she clarifies to him that her heart belongs only to Zero. Yes, the hero, since she is not interested in money nor in status like the one that gives you iPhones, but only in her love for the masked man that we all know is our prota, and her brother does not want to hurt his sister, so he thinks that he definitely cannot let his little sister find out that in reality, Zero, the hero admired by everyone, actually is her brother, who has neither job nor trade and who does nothing but watch in his room, which is disgusting. Right then, she asks him whether he got any job, and obviously he stays quiet, which angers her even more, scolding him that it has already been 5 years that he has been at home, and he became a parasite who does not even wash his own plate where he eats, and that he has dirty clothes thrown everywhere, and we should not even talk about his room. But to all of this, he tells her that their parents do not tell him anything, and that the only one who complains is her. To all of this, they saw the photo of their parents. They look a lot like Saitama and Tatsumaki, such a great reference. So the sister reminds him that their parents already passed away 10 years ago. So the blonde says there is no other way, so he had better learn the lesson. But suddenly they are interrupted by a guy who knocks at the door, and when they turn to look, the man had already entered their apartment. And yes, it is the guy with the stylish hairstyle. He introduces himself calmly. Obviously nothing suspicious has happened. It is not as if someone had entered without permission into another person's territory. Well, the thing is that he came to invite our Zero to become a true hero, and besides, they will pay him like in any job to her little brother, and it could even be that he earns prizes, and by being his companion, he guarantees him a good salary. And when she hears that there is a lot of money involved, she accepts because nobody respects the freeloading brother. So before leaving, he says that tomorrow he will register him in the association, and at night he will invite him to dinner. The next day in the morning, they arrive at the place of the heroes, where upon entering they see a sculpture of Zero with other people. So he asks Zan about the identity of the other subjects, and it turns out that those individuals are superheroes of double S rank who fought alongside the Great Zero, but for some reason he does not remember them. Suspicious. So the guy with the stylish hair tells him it turns out that 5 years ago, right after the disappearance of the Great Zero, the government proposed a project in which it classifies beings in different ranks according to their power and performance, from the lowest, which is rank E, which is the one held by the guy with the sexy hair, up to the highest, that is double S. After that, there were some internal problems among the heroes, and because of that, many of them left, but there he stops, since he tells him that it is better to forget it. It must be for something suspicious. And so he takes him to register, where a lady accompanies them to the testing hall with the examiner, who clearly has a gym at home, so this one explains to them that to pass, they only have to remain conscious for 3 minutes in a confrontation with him. So our prota tells him, "And what happens if I defeat you?" Which surprises the assistant and his companion, and they try to stop him since the trainer is a hero of rank B, but our Zero approaches to confront him, which makes the examiner smile, who activates the blades on his arms and they start the battle. In this way, the handsome guy stops him just by holding his weapon to the floor, and then the old man tries to attack him from behind, but it is useless. Zero is totally broken, so the old guy throws stones at him, and both of them put on a very good fight, but in the end, our prota stops the final blow just by stepping on him, and he also breaks his nose, sending him to sleep. Thus, he passed the physical exam, so the assistant tells him that he got 10 out of 10 points, and when he goes out the door, this crazy girl screams that she does not want a tank. Then he finds out that now it is time for the written exam, and there we see him scared to death because he did not study. I identify with him if you also did not study for an exam and you were nervous. Comment now. Now, we move to another scene where we see the examiner lying down after the fight with our prota, accompanied by the albino sorceress. And from what we see, he is traumatized for having been defeated. So our waifu tells him that some nightmares are better to forget, saying that newbie, that is our Zero, is very powerful and that he would at least be in rank A, to which we know that is false because he is totally broken, though not in everything. In this way, she shows him his written exam, and we see that he is a complete idiot and that he only thinks about cutting his enemies. Now we see how the hero applicants are looking to see whether they passed or not, as if they were the results of a public university, while Zan is uneasy looking at the board, and our feline one is serious when he sees his points. This one laughs in the face of our prota, telling him that he is a genius, and that not even an elementary school kid would get such a score. So in front of the bully, our prota gets angry, tells him shut up, dirty one, and leaves. He got really mad. But then Zan consoles him, and right then they see some vandals bothering a nerd, lifting him as if he were a feather. And on top of that, they have the nerve to harass and insult the Great Zero, something that angers our prota and Zan, throwing the nerd and having him be caught by our angry feline, who like that throws them a piercing look. And our guy with the cool hair goes to attack them, but he is stopped easily. And when he tries to hit him, our lazy one saves him epically. And this one is heard saying that his idol Zero was dead, while we see how the one with glasses complains that he treats him like an object. And now we find out that the Vandals are heroes of rank D called the Golden Triangle, when suddenly a hero appears called the Divine Ghostly Frightener. What an insanely long name, who makes the guys of the Golden Triangle crap themselves with fear and step back, and he even calls them a bunch of useless ones. After that, we move to another scene where our heroes are talking, and Zan makes fun of the one with glasses, mentioning that nickname suits him. Then, after introducing himself, the hairy one says that they can call him 13, mentioning that he is rank E, and that people do not know how to talk to him naturally, so our prota thinks that he has no friends. So he quickly takes out his cell phone and shows his supposed friend, who in fact is a waifu on the phone, so our very sensitive feline goes to him and shows him that he also has that waifu. And so, they become best buddies and both grab hands and shout together, "Long live the magical girls." This is a kind of weird moment. Then our prota tells him to team up, and 13 cries with joy because he was a hero of rank E, and nobody wanted to form a team with him, thanking them for the opportunity. After that, we see that they ask him about his ability, and he answers, "Bad luck." No wonder he was alone, and they start to argue about that bad luck, and our heroes cannot believe it. Now we see a flashback of the blue-haired guy's story, mentioning that since he was little, they nicknamed him like that, as the Divine Ghostly Frightener, and that his 13 came from an orphanage where he was number 13, and eventually it burned down. Then they sent him to another, and this one was buried by a flood, and he was saved again. And so no matter how many times he went somewhere, the same thing always happened, so he had no choice but to wander through the streets, and at that moment our heroes move away from him. And he tells us that from time to time good things happen to him. So Zan asks him, what is that good thing that happens to him? And he tells him that when he was in front of a monster, Zero himself saved him. And from that moment, he wanted to be a hero like his idol, and that he still remembers his voice. And excited, he punches a column. And just as fate says, bad luck starts to shake everything and make it fall to the place. So our protagonist, with an epic kick, manages to break a rock that was going to fall on a girl, and he carries her in his arms, telling 13 to help the others since nothing is going to happen to him. So he runs to help some injured people and says that it happened again and he ended up like that. Then he goes to the hospital feeling guilty and enters a room where the prota is, and he informs him that the brother with glasses is still alive, but the guy with glasses, all hurt inside the capsule, shouts, "Look how I am, how can you say there is no problem?" To which Zan tells him that he will recover sooner or later anyway, so the guy apologizes and tells him that he would appreciate it if he stayed away from him. So the prota interrupts, saying how can he tell such nonsense to his companion, and so he starts to scold and argue with our feline. So this one tells him that now everyone is on the same pirate ship and that he should not even dream that he can get off, and he threatens him, saying that he will tell 13 to follow him for life. And so the guy with the little glasses calls him a bastard, and the blue-haired one tries to calm them down, saying it would be better if he keeps some distance from them, which leaves our MC a little confused, because he says he knows about his own capabilities, and our black-haired boy points out that he never takes back his words. Then the one with the Pen of Shadows says that 13 should keep a distance, so the unlucky dude answers that he will do so, and our Zero says it is settled, it will be in a team. Of course the glasses guy keeps complaining, but nobody pays him any attention, F for the bro. Now we move to another scene where we see our people sunbathing on a rooftop while 13 is watching the criminal gang written about in a mysterious anonymous letter, saying that originally there were thousands of soldiers in their band and some rank C criminals, but this week they had several accidents, and now only these ones remain. So our MC tells him to follow them for a few more days. After that, we go to Jay, who seems to be building something new, and San asks him to bring 2 packs of spicy strips, and he complains because he is not his employee. At that moment, our blue-haired boy tells Yang to come out and throws the glasses into the air, and Yang immediately teleports to them and does his typical superhero landing. Then he hands over the spicy strips, while San brags that they will not let him enter like H, and TR tells them not to fool around. Suddenly, our guy with the lady killer hairstyle goes flying like always, so everyone laughs at him. Now we see how the bad guys are carrying out their exchange, which is about a mixture in a tank, when suddenly it explodes, and from there comes out a monster that is about to eat them, but they stop it with a button, staying surprised and saying that the next time they are given such a good product, they really will stay there. And suddenly, they are interrupted by our people, who make their entrance an epic presentation while Yang comes down from the sky crashing into the ground, so they say that they are under arrest for illegal sale of biochemical weapons, but the bald villain says to kill them. So the fight starts with Yang throwing the glasses he uses to teleport and take away their weapons, appearing beside the blue-haired one who is shooting at them. Then the bad guy presses the button that activates the monster and orders it to attack. So 13 proceeds to shoot it with his equipment and manages to wound it, but it regenerates, so he pulls out the legendary spicy strips and throws them into its mouth, making it lose control like that. Then it eats the villains and now goes after them. They run toward our black-haired one who is trying to lift San, and he reacts asking what is happening here, and just when the monster was about to attack our people, our MC makes it back off. He says that it is a simple ordinary monster and hits it with a heavy punch, sending it to the city so it starts chasing the people. And an old grandpa comes out complaining, bumping face to face, being caught like that by the monster, but he is saved by our favorite bro who with one blow splits and pushes it, so a thick green mixture from the monster falls on his face. Gross, but he is stopped by San, who cannot keep up with our black-haired guy and scolds him, asking if with those punches of his he plans to destroy this whole area, but he tells him not to worry because he brought his new invention, the Magic Stain Removal Wand PLMA 2002 blah blah blah, many more letters, which he is about to use against the monster. He takes impulse with his skates, crashing into this huge hill of a monster and getting stuck like that, but our MC pulls him out of there and gives him a little tap on the stomach so that he comes to and asks him if he is okay, to which San confirms and mentions that he did not select the right power level. Now we see how his invention is proving useful, and so he starts approaching the monster, dodging its attacks like a true professional hero, and he begins to fight 1 versus 1, cutting it several times, and that surprises our protagonist while he gives it the last thrust, making it explode. Now we see that the area was left spotless thanks to San, and the people start to feel suddenly all clean thanks to the invention of our rank E hero, while Yang and 13 are doubtful about what happened, so they go near where the people were applauding and ask Zero if he defeated the monster, to which he says no, that all the merit belongs to San, and they see that he is on top of a girl. She blushes at the glasses guy, and he spits water out of his mouth along with some others. Now we see that San is complaining that they only gave him a few points, since in reality, they captured 2 criminal gangs, so Jay grabs him by the neck and blames him for being a pedophile, to which he screams that he is innocent, adding that he likes a certain girl, and Jay mentions that lolis are not legal. Now we see our protagonist who asks the girl her name and that of her parents, while we listen to San asking for help and being shaken by Yang, who mentions that they will send him to the association after 2 days. When suddenly the doorbell rings and they wonder who it is, and we see that it is our waifu who asks if they are available, and they are surprised that it is the albino heroine. Now the sorceress tells us that the Genetic Evolution Company has done a charity, giving a home to many orphan children, but it is not so clear that in reality it is to experiment on them, and that the real objective of the charities is to obtain necessary materials to carry out human experiments, mentioning that the girl they saved was one of the experimental subjects, leaving the guy with the lady killer hairstyle shocked. Besides that, she is the only successful experiment. So San asks her what happens to the children who fail, and she only limits herself to saying, "I am sorry," meaning they go with God, while our MC looks a bit serious and asks what the higher-ups have been doing, making the whole place shake with his immense power. So San stops him and our black-haired one calms down, and laughing he comments that his old problem has returned and that he cannot control his temper. So San defends our heroine, saying that if she has not done anything, it is surely because there is a hidden problem. Meanwhile, our albino girl tells us that during these years, they have taken various actions as heroes, but without any doubt the enemy was always one step ahead. That is why she began a deeper investigation, discovering that the enemy's workplace is inside the Hero Association and that it is a person with a lot of relevance and importance, and so she reveals to us that in reality it is none other than the very president of the Hero Association. In another panel, we see the blonde angry, pulling our protagonist by the ear, asking where he stole this girl from, so he tells her that she is a girl he rescued. Yang adds that they adopted her with good intentions, and the little one smiles, charming our blonde, who hugs her and calls her little sister, asking if she already ate and other things, showing her concern for the little one. She also mentions that they have given her all kinds of delicacies, and then the little girl hugs the blonde, despising the other girl as a traitor. So her brother mentions that he has given her strange things to eat and that they want to buy her some clothes and then eat something delicious. Now we see that when they arrive, it says big clearance, and our MC says that at last they will buy some clothes for daily use, and the blonde sighs, saying that it is fine. When they arrive at the store, the blonde realizes that they are not coming in, so they tell her that they have other business and that is why they must leave, mentioning that they will return in 5 minutes, when suddenly behind them appear the Golden Triangle. But before that, we go to a flashback where the waifu tells us that both for the president and for the Genetic Evolution Company, the existence of the girl is very important and they will use any method to have her back. To which she adds the question that if she is a high rank of the association and if perhaps she cannot do something, answering that after this night her life will also be in danger, while San tells her that depending on them is how long they will be able to hold on. So the albino warns them that the bad guys will send some professional assassins, and now we return to the present where we see that our heroes beat the daylights out of the Golden Triangle, mentioning that they are very weak and that the power of rank D is only this. Then the one with the pen factor says that they must return quickly and they run out. When they arrive, his sister scolds them for having lied, saying that they were going to return quickly, asking them where they went because they took so long. At that moment, Jay almost tells the truth, but our MC covers his mouth, hiding it like that, and says that someone will come to meet him, and that is why they must return early, and he wonders where the little one is. So the blonde calls her saying, Momo, and when they see her, they are all surprised by how cute and sweet she is. But our black-haired one asks, Momo? The blonde answers that she loves that name, and the girl says, Pew Pew, and then she asks if she can stay to live in their house, since she will take care of her. That leaves our black-haired one surprised, mentioning that it is still possible that she is in danger, and the blonde, all determined, says, and are you not a hero? And that it should be him who protects them, and with some super powerful cute looks, they make our protagonist give in, who ends up accepting, while the others tell him that he has no principles, and that it is fine since he is the strongest of the three of them, and whispering that he should not forget the matter with the albino, since they must be prepared, and he sends Yang to send the message. But his sister starts to get suspicious, asking them why they are whispering and what they are talking about, to which our MC brings down the calm, mentioning that they will leave first, and they say goodbye. Now our black-haired guy takes them and tells them that they will order something by delivery, and in another panel we see the villain complaining that his lackeys are trash. He also mentions that the strongest were sent after our albino, and his partner tells him to calm down, saying that he already organized everything and that his men are already prepared to act. Now we go to the scene with the assassin who is trying to enter the house of our guy with the lady killer hairstyle, and she succeeds, planning to attack the one who is watching in the cameras, when she realizes it is a simple mannequin and she falls from the scare. When she turns around, she sees masks with mouths, one of them falling on her, while she screams when we see that San turns on the lights and asks who is here. So the woman calls him a perverted demon and stuffs the brush in his mouth, making him writhe with happiness, since that brush is used for hero missions, which surprises her. and she realizes that he is a real pervert, adding how he dares to joke with her like that. So she quickly takes something that looks like a Star Wars sword and almost crying attacks the hero, but he says that that is to bathe during missions, and he screams but from pleasure, mentioning that it is a body cleaning rod, and so he falls to his knees totally naked, and when she looks at him, the woman calls him elephant, calling San like that, and in her mind she only says, "I am sorry, hee." So she bursts into tears and jumps out the window shouting that he is a huge pervert. Meanwhile, we see San totally confused, asking who that girl was and why she was calling him a pervert. But we go to another scene with our protagonist who is lying on the sofa while his sister and Momo are bathing. And in the distance, an assassin is watching them, mentioning that the higher-ups did not specify whether the girl should be alive or dead. And when we realize it, our MC is already behind him and scares him, calling him a pervert. So the crazy guy attacks, Zero dodges quickly while teasing him, calling him a twisted weirdo, to which the assassin says that he is not like the trash of the association since he is better. Besides, he has a power equivalent to rank A, and he jumps again on our MC, but this time he stops with the nonsense and defeats him easily, when suddenly the assassin injects himself with a madness serum that transforms him and makes his power now rank S, so he disappears from how fast he is running around our black-haired one. But when he tries to attack him, our MC blows off one of his arms with ease, laughing at the madness serum, and he also tells us that this one has an immortal body, and he decides to attack him with simultaneous blows, something that for our MC is very easy to dodge, asking mockingly if he only has that capacity, and with just one punch he sends him crashing into a tree, and he also tells him that taking drugs is bad, adding that he should not bother his girls again. Then the assassin says that he can defeat him, but he cannot kill him, and he threatens shouting that his sister and Momo will die someday by his hands, which now really angers our protagonist, who with one look makes him tremble in fear, taking his sword and saying, "Hero? I have not been that for a long time," leaving the assassin shocked, wondering if he is perhaps, and yes, our black-haired one makes him disappear with a single blow before he finishes his phrase, breaking at the same time a part of the mountain. After that, he returns home, and his sister asks him where he went, and he only says that he went to the bathroom outside, but she sees that he is still watching an old movie, and she goes to sleep. Now our MC remembers what the albino girl told him, and it is that within 3 days, the president will contact the Genetic Evolution Company, and that this is a unique opportunity to stop the president together with the other scum who control the Hero Association, asking for his help like that. So he tells himself that soon he will return to peace or he will stop being called Zero. Now we go to another panel where he wonders if he can call himself a hero, remembering the waifu's words, because this could be the biggest fight in the history of City H, telling us that soon peace will return. And on the other hand, we see our people talking with our heroine, telling us that tonight the president will meet with the Genetic Evolution Company and they need more help to finish them. And in that, she presents the rank O'Heroine, who was born in City B and is better known as the Ice Fairy. But in this video, we are going to call her the Twin Tails Girl, and some of her allies must get a sample of the Madness Serum so that the High Rank Hero Association can sentence the president. Thus, the Ponytail Girl says that no matter how you look at it, this group is made up of many useless people, and our Zero calls her a shorty, but the Fight Seeker tells him to see if he dares to repeat it, and our Prada repeats it, of course, because our Polino is the real one, the one who says that whoever is afraid to die should not be born at all, yet the Albina calms them, so John whispers to her not to be like that since she is a little girl, and so he receives a kick from her and is called Four Eyes. So he complains to our sorceress if she really needs the help of these people. So the Orarina says she does not judge the Prota's looks, saying he is the only one who can break the president's defense. So our black-haired boy says, "What about my body? What is wrong?" And then the Ponytail asks, "What about Four Eyes?" While Jay says he is just filler and that the president sold information, making his family be hunted because of him, and that is why he will not forgive him. Thus, the Ponytail only sighs, making Jay doubt because of her reaction, but our waifu says it is fine and that 13 has already taken care of the headquarters of the Genetic Evolution Company on Tintan Island, and that if they lose, it would ruin everything the blue-haired guy did. So San stresses that it is for a reason that he is the divine ghostly scarer, since he is a man who can complete his mission only with his luck. Meanwhile, the Nana tells Jay not to be a burden for her, and he answers that on the scene he will show her his true power. over. After that, our Albina says that for the peace of the city, she will defeat the villain. Now we move to another scene where our people are watching some suspicious guys, but we see that the three muscle brothers are touching our Prota's arms, making him feel really uncomfortable, so he yells that they should die as far away from him as possible, and he is KO'd like that by our waifu. Then a helicopter arrives with a friend of the villain, and also the assassin we already know, but suddenly the muscle brothers rush to attack, so our waifu tells them, "Come on idiots," since she has not given the signal yet, while San follows him, and we see that the Nana calls Jay a coward there because he steps back and he tells them to wait for him, so our waifu sighs, and when the bad guys notice, the fight starts, with blows and more blows from both sides. Now we see our Prota walking up calmly with a smile, while our Albina says that they should not even think about escaping. Then we see the shorty fly up and attack the helicopter's blades, making it fall and explode. But at the same time, she is being aimed at by a hunter who shoots 3 bullets at her, knocking her down like that. Now Yang goes to help her, while our Albina and Zero are in front of the president, saying that he even dared to buy the hunter with money, and he just says that he has the perspective of God, plus his ability to change the trajectory of bullets, and that he is the #1 H of the A rank of City H. So the queen decides to send the Pinheiro to face the other bad guys, and that she alone will face him. Now we see the guy who is fighting our Zero, asking him if he was the one who defeated his previous assassin, when suddenly our Pinheiro is attacked by the girl, who ends up defeating her easily and with a single blow. So the guy says he did not expect him to be a good fighter, and right then San appears, saying it is not fair a 2 versus 1, and now San's fight with the woman begins, while our Prota tells the man that he will finish him right here, and summons his hammer and rushes to attack him, but the other one dodges him several times, yet our Prota still stays superior, while we see San focus to find the enemy and manage to hit her, but she gets up quickly and backs off. Elsewhere, Jay went to help the Ponytail, and she asks him why he followed her, when suddenly they are attacked by the hunter, but she creates an ice shield and shouts at him not to hide, and that if he has courage, he should come out and fight, but she is hit by the hunter's attack, and luckily she is caught by Yang's arms, who teleports, puts on his glasses, and lays her on a tree, and he gets ready to calculate the bullet and the hunter's position, and when he finds him, he tells her to attack, and they manage to freeze him. Meanwhile, we see that the president is about to fight the waifu, asking her if she really thinks she can face him alone, and she only says that it does not matter, she will stake her life, while she covers her hands with ice and goes to attack him. So he defends himself by throwing purple gold, while she keeps dodging it, and we see that she seems to hit his arm, but he shows his arm of purple gold and says that at this level she did not make even a scratch on his armor, and she says that she will bet everything on this last attack, and the guy, realizing it, sends a punch that makes her spit blood, and another one that makes her fall knocked out. Now we return to Yang, and we see that the hunter already knew the whole plan, so he locks the Nana in an X-Force field and kicks Yang, sending him flying, and he tells us that setting bait is the basis of a hunter, and he steps hard on our Glasses boy, calling him naive. Then the Ponytail asks him why he has the X-Force field, since that is only used by the government to imprison criminals, and he tells us that it was a gift from that rotten president, and that it was also modified and improved by the Genetic Evolution Company. In another part of the fight, we see that the girl manages to strike San with her sword and says that for them there are no heroes, while we see that our Prota says job finished and ends his opponent, and in another part of the fight, the villain grabs the Ice Witch by the hair and demands that she surrender, but she spits in his face and says that even if she is defeated, someone else will take care of him. The president asks her if she means the group of weaklings like the Prota. This offends the Albina, and she tries to attack again, but he defends himself and knocks the waifu down to the floor again, telling her that they are a bunch of improvised, wrinkled brats and are a joke to the heroes. Meanwhile, on another side of the battle, we see the protagonist defending himself from the attacks of the kindly old orphan killer with the legendary hairstyle, being cornered by the ninja girl, and likewise the little Nana trapped in the plasma prison, watching how they give the beating of his life to the Glasses boy. And while the main villain keeps holding the Albina by the neck, he asks if they dare to call themselves heroes, since at least for him in this world there are no heroes, and he laughs like a manic crazy guy. But the ice waifu, with the little air she has, asks him if he is talking about himself, and he jumps that she is about to die, and even so, she keeps acting tough. But our Albina tells him that he has forgotten even the most basic thing about a hero. He has even forgotten how to fight, stating that he is a failed director. And close by, by, the old man with the Vegeta hairstyle tells Zero that he forced him to do this, injecting himself with the drug to increase his power since he turned out to be addicted to drugs. And he tells Arpel Dinero that he does not care how he defeated his partner, because today will be the day he dies. And so they trade clean blows, punches, and kicks. And at one moment he leaves the enemy a bit dazed, which he uses to land such a purple blow on him, sending him crashing to the ground. And while the villain is knocked out, our Prota takes the chance to stomp on him, saying, "This is for being a fool, useless guy, idiot, for experimenting with little girls, for taking drugs, and for good measure too." And on the other side, San wants to talk with the ninja because he wants to recruit her, offering her 5 social insurances per month, plus a housing fund, working in his formal company, so that this way she will no longer have to assassinate anyone. But the girl still refuses, so he notices that she is actually being forced. So in his flirty mode, he tells her to come with him, since he can give her a new world, a new life, and a better salary too. But she calls him a coward and says everything he says is nonsense because he is about to be killed by her, and that is why he is begging for his life, Mr. Pervert, and that he should not even think he will deceive her. In romantic mode, he tells her that if she keeps like this, she will walk the path of death, since someday she will be captured or killed, and that anyway it is not a good end for someone as pretty as her, and no matter how many missions she completes, she is only delaying her death. Now in serious mode, he asks her if that is the life she wants, and he understands that maybe in her past life there was no hero who saved her, but now she has one in front of her, and getting close to her even though she has a knife, he asks her if she wants a hero or prefers death. And so the assassin ninja gives in to the charms of our handsome hair guy, and we do not even know how, but she ends up crying on his chest, while on the other side they keep beating up the glasses boy right in front. And although the Nana screams and screams, the villain tells her that right away he will send her to hell too so she can accompany him, while he keeps stomping on the poor little guy. So the weakling takes out a can and the enemy steps back, but even though the glasses boy throws it, the rival simply knocks it away and gives him the strongest kick he has ever received in his life. So the little Albina, to save him, asks the villain how much he was paid, and whatever the amount, she will pay him double. But he, far from accepting, like the bad guy he is, stresses that he has professional ethics. That is to say, he does not betray his clients. And even though our glasses boy teleports and punches him, he does not make even a scratch on the robot villain. And now, yes, he tells the glasses boy that if he wants to die, he will grant it, and so he hits him again and again, and after finishing him, the little Albina is crying, but the villain tells her to stop crying because it will be her turn. And so both of them mention that they want to become a hero who can do everything possible to save people, and when he is about to press a detonator, the villain notices and crushes it, and I think he killed him. So now he does decide to destroy the shorty, but she, far from letting herself be killed, summons her ultimate power, which is Ice Cross, with which she freezes the enemy and cuts off his head. And there the main villain realizes that his assassin partner has died, while the ponytail holds the dead body of our glasses boy. And there the Albina, with great effort, says that now is the time for the counterattack, but the scoundrel just mocks her and says that with everything she has done today, she should not expect to go back uninjured and alive. But she reveals that she came well prepared, activating her batch of ice magic, freezing the villain instantly, but the guy mocks her because he says, "What will you get with this?" since he can break free right away. But there the Albina reveals that she simply wanted to stop him for an instant. Thus, she inherits the name of our protagonist, that is Lin. Yes, that is Zero's real name, and arriving faster than Flash, he knocks the villain away with his hammer, lifting like a true gentleman the wounded damsel. And there she points out that the power of his strike has surpassed all the expectations she had of him. But the drug-addicted villain injects himself with the power drug, and our Zero wonders if now it is fashionable to drug yourself to fight, so the villain becomes an enemy of S rank, and without wasting time, he throws some spikes, and although they both manage to dodge them, the superbad villain throws spikes again at the Albina, but our Zero protects her with his shield and mocks the villain's power, asking him sarcastically if that is the power of a true S rank. Then he rushes to give him a tremendous hammer blow, and with everything on the ground, Lin asks him if he also is S rank, so he asks him how he could hide from the association's exam, but our Fanta simply says what would that be, since as far as he knows, the association only assigns the ranks. So the angry villain tells him to stop pretending and moves fast behind our Prota, but when he tries to hit him, our hero simply dodges quickly, and like that several times, leaving him looking slow. And in that moment, Great Zero holds his attack with a fist, and now he tells him he will show him a bit of his power. So he lifts him to the sky, and there the villain tries to throw spikes at him, but he dodges them easily and gives him such a hammer strike that it causes an explosion of the particles it produces. And when the bad guy falls, our protagonist also falls, although he clarifies that he controlled his power and simply did not kill him. And there the Albina asks him if he is actually S rank, but he just says they did not do the right test and that only heaven knows the truth. Relieved by his strength, she knows bait was not needed, and our prota jokes that from hate to love there is one step, so the assassin ninja blushes and throws our handsome hair boy to the floor, a move only millionaires use. Bleeding, he lies there. She looks at the Albina sadly, but the sorceress says she is not mastermind and that Linya beat main villain, so he will decide. The handsome hair begs to keep the ninja, so the heroes say she only has to invite him to eat, and he lets her choose everything, and Zero shouts, "Long live the millionaires." Then the ponytail arrives with the dead man. Some are in hospital, news ignored them. Albina flirts, says got training, but the prota says he needs no training, so the ponytail says he is strong, but not enough to beat the Double S family. So the girl with the pigtails tells him that it will be a battle, everyone versus him, and he accepts. And already up on the roof, the four of them go against our Zero. Even though the four of them try to attack him at the same time, none of them manage to land any hit on him, and then the pigtail girl comes up with something, because she uses Sang's face as a trampoline, and even though she tries to surprise him with a kick, she still cannot touch him. But then our protagonist goes all out, because he throws a punch so strong that he sends her flying, but luckily the little ninja saves her, so she apologizes and thanks the ninja. So in that distraction, the white-haired girl takes advantage to launch a kick at him together with the ninja, and since it does not achieve any result, she throws a lot of ice at him, lifting him up into the air. But our protagonist is absurdly overpowered, so much that with a single punch he breaks the whole ice tower and tells the sorceress that against him that does not work. So she freezes him with the ice that he himself has smashed, but even so, he destroys it. And then he asks about San, whom he finds and to whom he gives a beating, just like to her ninja, and after that he leaves. But when he gets home, it is his sister who hits him, because she complains that he brought a stray dog when he does not even bring money to the house for expenses. And so that they will accept him, the little girl and the puppy look at her with cute little eyes so that she will give in, and of course the sister gives in like that. And right after that, the puppy takes her to the laboratory where she works, where the kindly old man left her a video telling her to keep experimenting because he will have to go out for a while. And we notice that in that same laboratory, the bad guys have appeared, even the president who is half dead. And there the elder asks the scientist if by any chance he can do something for his son. But since the scientist denies it, the old emperor simply kills his son, yes, just like that, and tells him that regarding that research, he should put more effort into it. Right then, the brother of Albina also arrives, making fun of the president who is in a wheelchair, but the old emperor tells him that he still has not settled accounts with his sister. This guy says that his sister got herself into trouble and he apologizes in her name, but he trusts that the emperor will understand because right now they are at a key moment of the project and they cannot destroy this piece they have built just because of one woman. The old man knows that this is true and leaves. Likewise, this albino brings him a new researcher or scientist to help the kindly old scientist, and all of this is so that he will hurry up with the work while the albino looks at him with a very threatening face. Meanwhile, in the hero association, our protagonist and Albina keep flirting, but there our hero tells her to stop what she is doing, and right at that moment the new director of City H is announced, who from now on will be none other than Albina's brother. And after the big speech that the guy gives, it is mentioned that from now on they will be protected by the chief of City H, to which Albina, a bit insecure, agrees, and of course our Zero notices that. And after that, the sorceress goes to see her brother, and the albino simply tells her that the day has already been chosen and asks the girl how the preparations are going. But she, with her head down, tells him that they have advanced only a little, so the brother grabs her by the cheeks and tells her not to believe that that group of people she has at her side will be able to help her escape, and if she does escape, she already knows the consequences. And amid that sternness, he mentions that she will take responsibility for her own disasters, and that is how he lets her go to the floor. But then he speaks to the door because he knows that Albina's friends were there, and he tells them to come out quickly because he has already seen them, and he quickly invites our protagonist to join his family. But of course he refuses, so the brother uses mental pressure, and it is so powerful that it even stuns the heroes outside. But our hero is not affected, so both of them apply pressure on the opponent. But there our protagonist stops him by putting a little more pressure, and yes, he pushes him back. He even makes the albino spit blood, so the brother remarks that this one really does have power. Meanwhile, our Zero tells him that if he has nothing else to say to him, then he will leave. And in the albino's thoughts, he actually wanted to mark his position by showing all his power, but he only ended up ridiculous, even thinking that our Zero is a person who is dangerous for him. And on the other hand, in the laboratory, the sister was able to make a dog study, also showing that all his physiological indicators are fine. So for the moment, there are no side effects or anything like that. Really smart, that girl. But then her ex appears, who was hiding because he came to warn her so that she can escape, since there he reveals to her that the backers of the doctor, who is her boss, are the Dawn family, which is Albina's, and the U family, which is the president's. And he knows that each of them has very evil plans, and it would not surprise him if they fought, and if she continues here, it will be very dangerous for her life. She thinks about it for a bit and knows that for that very reason she must not leave the place or the doctor who has taught her so much, so she continues with her research. Meanwhile, she calls her security staff so that they will protect the girl's house. And on the other side, our Zero was walking with San when suddenly he feels someone's presence. So he grabs the spy and asks him what he is doing here near the laboratory where his sister is. And he tells the playboy that it is time to use his secret weapon. And of course they make her faint, but not out of pleasure, relax, but out of fright at arriving so fast at the top floor where they find the girl's other companions, so they set out to knock them all out right away. But then, when checking the pants of the great Bald Dulong, he finds a medal that belongs to one of the 8 most powerful royal families, exactly the Long family. There, our Zero remembers that it is the family of his sister's ex, and thinks that he wants to have the blonde by force. So he thinks that he should give him a lesson, releasing only a little of his power. Meanwhile, the horned guy is informed that his bodyguards were defeated, but he remembers that each member of that group was able to defeat on his own 2 rank A heroes, so he thinks that maybe it was the albino. Meanwhile, our protagonist gives his sister a necklace and tells her that if she is ever in trouble, she should press the button and he will appear instantly. She is about to thank him, but she is kind of tsundere, so as thanks, she slaps him. Actually, it was so as not to get him into trouble. And she kicks them both out because she is researching. And in another panel, we see 13, who is doing the stakeout to watch Albina, realizing that in these days she has not left the house. But the strangest thing is that she is even made up in her room. But then a car arrives quickly, from which a handsome blonde guy gets out with several bodyguards because he belongs to the family of the president and of the old emperor. And he grabs her by the chin, saying that now she will be his wife, but she does not let herself be grabbed and goes straight to the car. And then this jerk insults her because he tells her that she is an idiot, and she, in a low voice, says that this guy is really horrible. So now, really angry, he grabs her by the cheek and hugs her. Or well, actually he chokes her, and then throws her to the floor. But right at that moment, the Association of Muscleheads stops them because they are Albina's best friends. And even though they try to help her, it does not do much, since the robots subdue them quickly, and likewise the bad guy puts Albina into the car. But since she sees that he is pounding her friends, she shouts at him to stop. She even points an ice sword at the guy's neck. And when he is about to hit her again, 13 shoots him a bullet. But the guy stops it only with his bare hands, returning it and knocking 13 down from the tree. And to finish, he throws his wind magic at him, making a very deep wound all over his chest. No, poor 13. And she, in tears, begs him that he can do whatever he wants with her, but to please leave the others in peace since they are already almost dead. And he grabs her by the chin, pointing out that he is getting bored, so they had better change places to enjoy her. What a son of a jerk. And so with his car, they go to another place, but the scoundrel orders his robot to kill everyone who was still alive. No way, man. But right when the robot was about to fire its beam, our protagonist appears to save them and tells his friend to leave the rest to him because he will take care of it. That is the least he can do. No, dude, you are the protagonist. And then he sees that despite the hit he gave the robot, that toy repairs itself, so to face it he draws his crimson sword, and now he really cuts it and incinerates it. But the other 3 toys fire a beam at him, however Daddy Zero destroys all 3, and even so, a cowardly robot, realizing the high danger, tries to retreat. But Lin Ye is not going to allow that since they hurt many people, and still those scoundrels want to escape, and at least for him that is something immoral, so he cuts it down. On the other hand, the blonde guy has been informed that his robots have been destroyed, and when he sees in the footage who it is, he is surprised that he has the Sword of the Fire Spirit. And well, Albina is surprised that it is the protagonist, so without hesitation, she says his name, and then the blonde gets happy because he tells her that it seems Albina actually is useful for something, since she has made him realize that Lin Ye's sword is an incomparable weapon as a gift for anyone. Meanwhile, our Great Zero curses the enemy family again, wanting to go and annihilate them right now, but his companions stop him since he does not even know where they are, and what is important now is to heal the wounded. He understands and helps because they are right, promising 13 that he will avenge him and rescue Miss Albina, and later, when they get home, they tell Antojitos and he is very surprised, but in a bad way, because he explains to them that the O family is the most powerful in District C, and it is worth pointing out their robots, that he only sent about 4, and even so, they were able to defeat the Muscleheads and 13. And now it is very likely that they will send their entire army, thinking that if that happens, they will die. But Sam asks the chicken guy if he is afraid, but he answers with another question. Are you not afraid? Are you not human? There, the show-off explains that in his dictionary, the word fear does not exist, while Lin Ye in turn mentions that he has already forgotten the feeling of fear. And they also add that Albina is their friend. And how could they abandon a friend when she is in danger? Besides, the blood of the Muscleheads and 13 cannot be shed in vain. And since they are heroes, they live fighting crime and evil, and they cannot surrender just because the criminals are more powerful. And right at that moment, the handsome purple-haired guy appears and agrees with them, because very stylishly he says that a true hero does not lower his head before any force of evil. This one already forgot how they formatted his windows, and then Zero asks him what he is doing here, and he answers that he received the information that Miss Albina is in trouble, and obviously he came to help, master, and our egocentric one tells him that this he will accept. So Antojitos has no choice but to accept, and he knows that in the worst case they will simply die. But if they are heroes, they have to be like the Great Zero, brave and without fear. Of course, something important to mention here is that nobody until now knows the true identity of the Great Zero, because it was never revealed. And after that, they go to see the facilities of the internal structure of the Wu Yang family, that is their house, while everyone is surprised at how fast the assassin ninja managed to break the security system of one of the 8 great families. And on top of that, she is petting a puppy, which gives her extra points. But she reveals the puppy did it all, so the others cry feeling inferior to a dog. She says that tomorrow night Albina will be engaged to the blonde. But when she sees that the friends of the white-haired girl are getting into her business, like that purple-haired guy who is making a whole scandal just so they will free the albino girl, meanwhile the said girl in her head is asking why that whole group of idiots is doing all this for her. And right there, the blonde tells her to stay here and watch how he is going to kill all her dogs, laughing of course at her friends, so she has no choice but to pray that Lin Ye is not doing any foolish thing. And in another panel, we see our protagonist and his 2 companions entering the villain's house like it is nothing, with some really stylish capes. And our main guy even has a mask, and he has even changed weapon, pointing out that a monster he defeated dropped it for him. But the hungry one complains that no monster has ever dropped him anything at all. And right then, the Ponytails girl who was coming out sees them and asks who they are. But Hungry Lover, the flirty one, takes off the cape and from up close talks to her coquettishly. Yet when he notices another man, he instantly turns into a toxic mode, even to the point of saying that both he and the ponytailed girl are very close. And on top of that, he mentions that the other guy is a superficial guy, so he himself is more worth her time than the other one. So both of them start fighting for the attention of the Ponytails girl while our people go in calmly. And in the very first corridor, they already run into 2 guards. Our main guy wants to take care of them quickly, but San tells him, "Easy Poppy, I will handle it. More than a leftover, I want to be the hero." And so he starts a clean beatdown with the 2 of them, and that is how our Lin Ye finally enters the room of the albino girl. But since she does not recognize him with the mask, she tries to attack him with her ice sword. And when he reveals his face, she asks him why he is wearing a mask, and he obviously answers that it is so that no one will recognize him. I do not know what answer the albino girl was expecting really, although she points out that with that mask, he actually stands out and draws even more attention. But our romantic hero highlights that she looks very beautiful dressed as a bride, so she of course blushes and gives him her hand, telling him that her companions will not be able to hold on much longer. But this girl refuses to leave, so our guy explains to her that if she continues like this, only death is waiting for her. Yet since she gets closer, she tells him that it is none of his business, and that she will be fine, making our protagonist angry, and he tells her that she is a very annoying woman, and that they really do not have any more time. But even so, she refuses to go because she tells him that she promised her family that she would not cause any other problem. And while she is talking, our hero comes from behind. And because she sees that he is not taking her seriously, she tries to strike him with the ice. But our romantic one grabs her by the waist and tells her, "You are important to me." And so strong was the emotion that he even made her cry ice tears. And to make it work even more, our guy mentions that he cannot let 13 and the association of muscle guys have sacrificed themselves in vain. So then she does pull away from him and gets mad because she points out, "Do you not value my sacrifice?" Since she did all this so that nobody else would come out hurt because of her. Besides, if she provokes the Wu family, which is very powerful, it will be very troublesome for him and they could even kill him. But he states that both of them are the same because if it is the justice they believe in, they will even give their life. And he destroys the wall asking her to trust him, and that is how the damsel in distress finally accepts. And as soon as they go out of the mansion, they run right into San, who has been beaten up, and the poor fellow mentions that the robots are very hard to defeat. And when our protagonist turns to look, he notices the blonde, and this tough blonde tells him that he has a lot of nerve to show himself and even steal the bride, while the albino girl looks at him with anger and with the desire to hit him too. But our Lin Ye calms her down, taking her by the hand, and he insults the blonde, mentioning that both families are shameless, since now their reputation depends on a single woman. And at least for him, that is not what men do. But the bad blonde guy laughs and tells him, "How can you call yourself a man for daring to take another man's wife?" And he challenges him to a legal fight to decide who is the winner. So our guy accepts and tells him that if he wins, they will leave, and the blonde will not be able to blame the albino girl for anything bad. And if the blonde wins, Lin Ye will accept any punishment. But for the blonde, that is not enough, since he wants his fire spirit sword, and our steel-hearted hero simply accepts. But then the Winter Sorceress tries to stop our protagonist because she tells him that this blonde is one of the most powerful young men of the Ush family, so please, she asks him not to fall for his provocations. But our Romeo touches her chin and tells her, "For you, baby, I would be Batman." So the blonde, all angry, says that they are not going to waste time, and that it is better to go right now to the arena. While on the other side, our glasses boy keeps making a fool of himself, since he points out that the ponytailed girl does not like handsome and seductive boys, and those words do bother her. So she hits him so that he will stop saying nonsense, and instead she asks him what he is doing here. And he tells her what we already know, and in another panel, the battle arena is already ready so that the blonde and our protagonist will fight. And of course, the little ponytailed girl, worried about her sister, goes to see her, although the albino girl, very sad, tells her that the situation is kind of complicated. And then the blonde announces that today is a special day, because both his family, the Ouyang, and the Dong family of the albino girl are going to form an alliance. And he adds that to make a whole spectacle, he will have a match with this red-faced mister. Likewise, he tells everyone the deal he made, because if the hooded one wins, he takes the albino girl, but if the blonde wins, he also takes the fire spirit sword. And that really surprises the old men, since it is a divine weapon that has been missing for a long time, pointing out that this show is not bad at all. And there the old emperor of the Ouyang family family mentions that it is necessary for his grandson to show his power so that certain people will not think they can do whatever they want with the Ouyang family, looking like that at the albino, at the white-haired one, and at the ponytails girls. But there, the white-haired guy leaves, and the horned ex of our hero's sister follows him, and before starting the fight, the blonde tells him that here there is a force field around the whole platform so that it can repel all their attacks, so he can fight in total freedom. Then our Lin Ye proceeds to summon his weapon, although the blonde is surprised that he is not going to use the Fire Spirit sword. But our Steel affirms that with that it is more than enough, and as for the nasty blonde, he simply mentions that one finger will be enough for him, and the battle begins with the villain throwing air slashes. However, our protagonist rejects them quickly, and so they exchange several attacks until in one, the blonde stops him with his shield, and both of them proceed to clash their fists, making a great impact. Then the blonde mentions that he has finished warming up, so he fires air discs at him, and even so, our guy manages to avoid them easily, but since a thick cloud of dust was formed, the blonde takes advantage to hit him distracted. However, Zero throws his weapon at him, and the blonde barely dodges it, so already in the air he tries to chase him, but our protagonist gives him such a kick. But the blonde is very tough, so he throws stones at him quickly, so our Lin Ye takes flight to attack him from above, and the villain defends himself with several barriers, but our guy is so strong that he destroys the great majority, and when he is about to destroy the last one, the blonde skillfully moves his weapon, saving himself from a brutal cut, but not from the mega punch our Zero had prepared. And with some very stylish movements, he summons a dragon of the spear and throws himself to break all his Mandarin, and the funny blonde tries to defend himself with a stone wall, but it is useless. Zero still cuts all his chest, pointing out that that cut was in revenge for 13. So the blonde out of rage expels black substances from his hands, summoning a huge cross and throws it. Our protagonist at the same time destroys the protection, but when this explodes, we see our Zero up in the sky, because after rejecting the attack, he moved away from the explosion, and he tells him that if he dirties his clothes again, his sister will scold him, and so he hits him with a tremendous kick. And since this crazy blonde is harder than steel, and by no means wants to lose, he takes out a forbidden scroll, throwing it at our hero, and then there is a big explosion, and after that we see that the blonde has now become more powerful, and even his hair has grown, while on our protagonist's side he was coming out of the rubble, and he was fine. At least he was, not his clothes, but the bad guy does not wait at all, and throws straight at him a powerful attack. And our guy obviously answers the attack with some powerful spear moves, materializing the green dragon attack, and so at last the guy is defeated. But when the albino girl is running to greet our protagonist for the great victory, they feel an overwhelming pressure and time stops, because it turns out that in the laboratory where our guy's sister, the blonde girl, was, everything was destroyed. And everybody is unconscious, being held by the horned one, and besides that, the white-haired brother is wearing a helmet like Magneto's, and he talks about the dream of being a hero, and he remembers that when he was little, he saw the back of the fighter and wanted to become someone like him, but a little tear escapes him, and now all the humans in the world are kneeling before the new god. Basically, that is mind control, while at last the said one appears in front of our protagonist and shouts like a crazy person that they should get ready for a true god to rule them, but then he stops laughing because he admits that he cannot fully invade his mental realm, pointing out like that he is a man who must not be underestimated by anyone, so he throws him a spiritual shot, which is automatically destroyed, and on top of that, the bald one ends up hurt. And there Lin tells him that at most he can be an evil fake god, but not a true god, since he explains to him that just being bald and getting a little stronger is not enough to be god. And the knee-headed guy, really upset, throws several storms and stones at our protagonist, but our Lin Ye takes advantage of a moment of carelessness and hits him with his spear. And during the fight, the bald one mentions that a god does not need bonds nor friends nor relatives nor anything, but only a power that can control everything, since that way there would be no sins nor disputes. And then the bad guy throws a mini spirit bomb, and taking advantage that the protagonist is on the ground, he uses his mental invasion technique, getting obviously into his mind, and inside he sees him carrying a little girl and also many monsters. But when he gets closer to the memory of the girl, she tells Lin Ye that he should continue living in peace, and right when the bald one tries to get closer, he is expelled from the mind of the great Zero, and now our Lin begins to transform, saying that he had not wanted to go back to what he was before. And it is now that we finally see him physically as the Great Zero, since just by transforming he distorts all space-time. So the Bald One, very surprised, asks himself if maybe he is the legend of this world, the great hero Zero. But since this knee-headed one does not want to believe anything, he directly attacks our hero, who just by raising his sword eliminates the attacks of the Bald One. And of course he hits him fully, cutting all the sky, but the villain summons a Susanoo, and Zero the Almighty with a single lightning eliminates it so that he will not be there copying techniques. And when the Bald One falls, our protagonist does not even let him rest since he uses his punishment technique. And although the Bald One barely manages to disperse the first lightning, some other smaller ones appear that end up destroying all his body, but still lying down and barely. He complains that someone like Zero, who has the power of a supreme god, could never have the feeling of being incapable, since with his power he can do everything. But the Great Zero simply answers maybe, and he uses his redemption technique, so this Bald One screams in agony before the black flames, and from the mouth of the ex-white-haired guy, well, because now he is bald, something like an essence comes out, and it enters the black sword of our protagonist. Therefore the villain falls to the ground, and Lin-Ye fades his Zero transformation and looks at the sky. The villain recognizes that his power indeed is enormous, and admits that he himself does not get even close to how powerful the Great Zero is. But our guy answers that even though he is very powerful, he was not able to save her, and he asks him why he wanted power in the first place. The Bald One laughs and covers his face because he answers that that is true. The job of a hero is to save people, and he remembers that his original dream as a hero was to create a world without murders or sins. So he wanted to be the most powerful in the world, but at some point he went so far off his path that he ended up losing sight of his dream, recognizing like that he ended up becoming what he swore to destroy. But to all this, the Great Zero asks him how he became so strong and powerful. Tell us your secret master. And he asks this because the Bald One had machines and many millions of dollars. Lin-Ye, for his part, takes off his shirt and shows all his torso full of dozens of thick scars that were made by manticores, space swords, alien cannons, even deities from other worlds, confessing like that there were so many battles that he does not even remember how many there were, but that he knows he is very damaged, although he is thankful that luckily his hands and face are the only places without scars. And that makes him go unnoticed before the world, so his sister will not find out what has happened to him, since he knows she would worry a lot. The Bald One, for his part, looks at him and with a satisfied smile tells him that it is a miracle that he survived all those battles. And then he remembers when he was in Zero's mental realm, since there was a girl whom the protagonist hugged very tightly, admitting that she is the reason for becoming so strong, and that for 5 years he went through everything that an ordinary human could not even imagine nor endure. So with all the confidence in the world, he asks him about the pink-haired girl he saw in his memories. But he tells him that he does not want to talk about that subject, and he begs him to please stop calling him Zero, since a long time ago he stopped being a hero. The villain starts to fade away, and before going off, he asks him the reason for registering as a hero if he no longer wished to do it again. Lin, for his part, replies that he has no idea, and only the sky knows, which in the end makes him laugh. Alex Alvino leaves with a smile, thinking that he died in the hands of someone so powerful and special like Zero. He watches him disappear, wondering why humans do not appreciate living in a simpler way, and he leaves. In another panel, right in the laboratory where the sister was, we see that everything is destroyed, and the suitor wakes up and looks for the blonde, yet he calms down when he sees the MC and his sister resting nearby while the firefighters firmly secure the whole place. At that moment, the sister wakes up, sees her brother, and asks him what he is doing there. He answers her that he will always be there when she needs him, and what he does ask is the reason for her not wearing the necklace he gave her. But she answers that she does not want to involve him in anything bad, and in turn Lin-Ye tells her that he is the older brother. Besides, he is also a certified hero, very strong and powerful, and for that reason she must go to him next time she is in danger, which makes the sister smile, but since she is who she is, she shows it by hitting him the least kindly. And then a message comes on WhatsApp, and he blushes, going to a lighthouse near the beach while he looks at the sea and remembers how he met Alvina, because the first time he saw her was when she came down from her steed, asking in a cold way how the situation had happened. Likewise, when she visited him suddenly, and how to forget, obviously, the situation with the Wu family and the Genetic Evolution Company, where a girl who was an important existence as a result of that whole project had a lot to do, and the albino woman was the key piece to solve all of this. He even remembers later when they hit the albino woman and he came to help her, recognizing her right there as a great heroine. It is that he lent her a hand, although she went too far being shameless in the hospital when she was flirting with him in front of everyone. And after that, she became even stranger with him, yet he knows that she is a good woman, yet even more a great heroine. And right then, the aforesaid woman shows up, and he asks her if she will really leave the country. She confirms it since she bought her plane tickets. And Liner points out that the city of Milkyra is the paradise of ruffians, and he asks her if she is truly sure about being a teacher of heroes in that place. But she answers him that he taught her that she can be what she wants to be, so before leaving, she had one single thing to do. And yes, she kisses him with tongue and everything, and at first the MC did not know whether to return the kiss or not, but later he hugs her, understanding that it is a farewell for both. And later, after so much kissing for about 5 hours more or less, and being tired, she pulls away from him and says goodbye. He also smiles at her and only tells her bye-bye, and so he keeps watching the sea, thinking that he too is alive and that he is doing very well. And that is how this anime of Hero Return ends.